Hello, this is Anthony. Let's walk and talk. So today we're going to talk about something that many of you may have been raised with. It's it's not just a cultural thing, it's a familiar thing. We're going to talk about the term acting right or fitting in and exactly what that actually means. You see, I remember as a child when I would, as children do, would have my moments of being an impetuous child, being some might say a difficult child, as all children are. And I remember clearly being told, you need to act right. Or interacting with people and them telling you, you need to act like this in order to fit in. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why that is actually a very detrimental thing to experience, and especially a very detrimental thing to go through. You see, what most people don't understand is that when you act right, what you're actually doing is exactly what it says. You're acting. You're not being your true authentic self. You're acting like someone that you're not. You're acting to fit into your role in terms of your culture or your family. And the problem only occurs when you choose not to play that part anymore. And this is an important thing to understand, you see, because human beings are interesting creatures. You see, what we don't understand is that we all have our own stories that we live in. We all have our own movies that we operate in. And there are many characters that operate within that movie. The problem is when a character in the movie changes, and they change for the better, they become their authentic self, they're willing to speak truth, whether it's their truth or just truth in general. And I distinguish between the two because there is truth out there, but then there's also your truth, and your truth comes from your perspective, which is why we have 8 billion perspectives on the planet, because consciousness wants to have as many points of experience that it can have to understand self better, and we are parts of that aspect. And so when you fit in, what you're doing is you're not being your authentic self. When you fit in, you are fitting into someone's movie. You are experiencing life in someone else's story. But the moment your story changes, what happens is they write you out of the story. This is why when you start to connect more to consciousness, people just naturally flow out of your life. I don't know, some of you on this journey may have experienced this. I'm not sure. I know most people do experience it on the journey. When you have your awakening and things start to shift and evolve around you, it's amazing how people just flow away. Like being on a raft on a slow-moving river, and they just float by and then they float away, or how they kind of bump into the front of the raft and they're there for a while, and then the current takes them elsewhere. You see, acting right, fitting in, betrays the self, betrays your soul. It's what is actually happening is, we've talked about this in the past, it's asking you to be the programming that you are and to not disrupt that programming. And from my perspective, where I'm at on the journey, I choose to no longer fit within that programming. Why? Because it's not my authentic self. You see, I've had some people tell me, like, oh, well, occasionally you curse, and that just shows that you're not of higher status, and it shows against you. And my response is always the same: I don't give a fuck. Why is it that way? Because I explained to them a couple of things. Number one, science clearly talks about people who use curse words, and it's no, psychology, I'm sorry, talks about people who use curse words. There's many studies about it if you go look, if you go out there and look, and the results of the studies are actually more positive than negative. They actually support the spiritual aspect of the word or words that are being used. I've also responded and said these words, for instance, they're just vibrations just like any other. So why is a vibration of sound more offensive than another vibration of sound? It isn't. It's what's attached to the sound. You see, I don't know if you've ever watched any of the videos where people are talking to AI from a conscious perspective, and AI talks about the reason these words are curse words is because they're pattern disruptors. They break the agreed upon story. That's why when people use quote unquote curse words, what they're actually doing is they're actually disrupting the pattern. And the system doesn't like pattern disruption. It likes things ordered. It does not like chaos. Remember, we've talked about this. We've talked about spirituality takes you from chaos to order. But see, what we haven't talked about in that is the fact that both are to be experienced in duality, and depending on how you look at this, it puts you in a position where you better understand that it's all one thing. You see, and I bring this up, and I bring up I could do a whole video on curse words and their meaning and why people use them, but it all comes down to, like I said, fitting in, acting right. When you step out and break the pattern, you break the social norm, you break the cultural beliefs, you break the familiar ties, you're breaking character in the story. And again, the system doesn't like that. And I say system, what I mean by that is the system is everything. The system is the people. The people talk about the matrix. The matrix is everything. The matrix is the system around you. The matrix is the NPCs that walk all around you that, they have no connection to anything. And the thing about it is, and what most people don't understand is, you can talk about the matrix all day, but the people who still exist in it, those people are playing their part. And so they will defend it because they are defending essentially the ego. They're defending themselves. They're defending the character that they play in that story. And they don't question. They don't question that character. They don't question the story. No matter how untenable the story becomes, they never question it. You see this a lot in nationality and religion. You see it a lot in family as well. People don't question the narratives. They don't question why they believe something. They just believe it. And when science and psychology and all these things start to back why this isn't an accurate view, they defend it. They get stronger in their stance, and they get stronger in the story. Not ever questioning as to why the story's there to begin with, how the story can be disempowering, and why not stepping out of character and stepping into their authentic self truly benefits them, and how it can change the entire illusion that they live in. You see, whether this was intended to happen is irrelevant. It has happened. And if you're ever asking yourself the question about why is it that you care what other people think about how you choose to live your life, if you've never asked that question, then that's a question that's important for you to ask. And the reason it's important for you to ask is because that is your true self starting to say, something isn't right here. I'm not sure I fit into the small box of this character anymore. I think there's something bigger out there. And I think there's something bigger out there for me. And I choose to accept the sovereignty, the sovereign being that I am. I choose to accept that the decisions I make, I have to take responsibility for, and I choose to accept that there's something greater to me than just what I see in the mirror. There's something greater in me, behind me, inside of me, that is greater than what society tells me I have. But what say you? How do you feel about that? Do you think that it's appropriate to fit in or to act right? Or do you step out of character? And when you step out of character, do you experience the same things that others experience as people start to just kind of flow out of your life and onto new, and you move on to new endeavors? As always, if you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm truly grateful and faithful. Till I talk to you again, peace, love, light. Hope you have the most amazing day.